Jesus, have mercy on us elderly. Where was that Whipman? Oh.
We're gonna get back. A reminder we're gonna get back in session. Singers, Okaki, we're gonna get back in our meeting. As protocol, so we're gonna do the Whipman song to remind everybody that we're back in session. And then 3 minutes is allow time to talk. It's the agenda, they set the protocol, and I know that some people were upset about that and they want to talk a little longer, but we wanted to respect that agenda and respect all of you. So right after this song, we're going to go right into our committee. So the spiritual committee, people that volunteer, be ready because you'll be up right after this. So it's a reminder to all the good relatives out there that this song pertains back in the day when our headsmen will find a Whipman to control the meeting and keep us in line, and so we're staying on the right track. We don't go further off. We try to keep close so we understand and respect. I want to thank my kola here, Jim. Yeah, there's a song that comes with this, so my kola Jim's gonna sing this, and then singers, you want a couple.
Yeah. Hey, 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 yeah, hey, hey, yeah, hey, ha, hey, ha, yeah, hey, ha, yo, hey, hey, yo, hey, ha, yo, hey. Sinte chat, we just hey, Apo itanchape tehekeno nageno na heya uwe.
That's one of our original the song that comes with the category with our protocol in that way. It's just the whip song. Hechituelo, thank you. We're going to go right into our spiritual advisory committee. Madonna sitting there, and from each committee, we're going to have 2 reps that will come up and speak on behalf of the committee. Madonna, if you're here. We have the Legislative Advocacy Committee. Justin Puyer and Rick Two Dogs. We also have the Bill Drafting Committee, Education Outreach Committee, and Logistic Committee. That's we're going to go in that area. Justin Puyer. Nephew Justin.
Hamadakyapi. It's good to see each and every one of you guys again. It's been probably about a month since we last visited with all of you. We are the spiritual committee, and we've done a lot this last month. Hold on, let me grab my... So we've been meeting weekly, every Tuesday, and we've been kind of going over things that come up. We initially started talking about the ceremonial part of it because I know that that was highly recommended by the majority of the people sitting here. And so with that, there was other recommendations that came from our committee. I'll go over those first before we start going over the ceremonial stuff. And so these are the 3 recommendations that we wanted to make to the collective here, to the group. One of them was to get whatever this legal document that is being made, this legislation, we wanted to recommend that it gets translated fully into our Lakota language, so that we have that. We also wanted to make the recommendation that if we can, as a group, the night before each of these meetings happen, that we were able to pray together. I don't know how we would go about doing that. We're still talking about that, but going into Inipi and, you know, making prayer with each other for this specifically. And then the last thing we talked about, and it's recommended, of course, you know, which came from this group also, was that we follow the stars. And so making that journey. And as we talked about it, we talked about having ceremony with Lakshi Rick here. And so as a committee, we decided that we were gonna kind of stick with him, his timeline. And as we go and visit these sites, we'll go with him, we'll take prayers up. And I wanted to just, you know, say that if people wanted to make prayer, they're able to, and they're able to attend with us on those days. And at some point, we can get an agenda ready and sent out to each and every one of you so that we could do this collectively. We're always happy to have everyone and anyone involved in the work that we've been doing. And there's been some of us that have been really consistent, and I kind of want to thank my committee members for being there. Some of them couldn't make it today, and being able to meet and give time weekly for this. But with that being said, you know, at the last few meetings, we had talked about ceremony. And I know Nick has discussed the ceremony that was had before that. And so Wopila was given for that. And then through the spiritual committee And the decisions that we made collectively as a committee, we had chosen Lakshi Rick to go to make that prayer for the HESAPA work, for all of this, for guidance, for understanding, for whatever it is that we needed. And so we did. We went to him, we met with him. I think that we followed the protocols pretty well. And then we had Lowampi. We had ceremony a couple weeks ago. So before I go into any of that, I would like for Lakshi to kind of talk about that, because I know that there's things he may want to say, may want to bring up, may want to talk about that are important in the message that was given, and whatever you think needs to be said.
Ja, mit tak ja ke ogelag ma shipsa. Ja, homo tränkte. Hoyunka. Ja, mit tak lena het tokyo. Trakoja wa ogelag ke he helogna. Het ja el mayuna o bagio ma kucha. Ja, mit tak ja het vichachona atukte logna ktiki. Ho het helogna eapicha ayupta lena yuha hinajib. Hota ho hete ele a petuki she le wahina. Ho oichaki na hete na watche ki he gloha moani. Lete katroka image is nitoni. Tukteni le holaza ta makina tuwa chima ta oakinkte. Helogana opimich. Tukteni inajina dagni womahiti kinkteshni na ish. Kiligla homotrankteshni kha. Awachwala opimich helogna. Ehani lekshi ate trunkasla vichalena hechel wa onkta kyabi wata helogna opimich. Vichasha unshika hemacha na tukteni wakhan homotresh is lilichela opimich is wakamichela unshich awon sa helogna. Aishe wachichaka mitaki yuria. Ota takuchapi na ota wota ke hecha hena oglonia. Ota inshe hecha wagalakinkten. So at this time I was working with this committee under this endeavor that we're trying to do, this endeavor that brought all of you together. And they asked me to make prayers with them, so I took their offering and worked with them in a good way, and asked guidance from the other world on what to do, because as we know in history, we can't do anything alone, and all of our great leaders were men that, the great men in our society were men that were prayerful people, and always saw the vision in what to do first and how to do it. So the direction I was given was, first of all, always put the prayer first. Always, and then go follow the spiritual protocol of following the star knowledge and going to these sacred sites and making offerings for not only the people, but for this endeavor that's happening, and opening the doors for whatever's to happen. Maybe what we're working on is not something that's going to happen in our lifetime. But what is important is that these young people know and understand, and to take a stand against the government, and to reclaim this land that is rightfully ours. And our ancestors who came there to Fort Laramie and signed these treaties were spiritual men. And the descendants to this day still exist among us. Two of my ancestors signed that treaty, High Wolf and American Horse. So today, I don't claim to be a chief. I don't claim to be any type of leader. I was taught by my father, uncles, grandfathers to walk in a humble way, Don't go in front of people. Don't talk. Don't ask to talk. Stay in the back with your prayer. So that's how I tried to walk. And never to go in front of the people and talk like I know everything, or chew people out. I don't have that right. And I follow the Lakota protocol. Like just now, there's a man carrying a whip. He was chosen by his people. So if he comes up right now and says, "You've talked enough," I'll quit talking, because I respect his position and that whip that he's carrying. He was chosen by his people, and that's how I believe. So in the direction that the Spirit gave us is to always pray, always put that prayer first. And they said that nupa kegele takuwa iwoto inajuna he kapta ilawa piki ho he han tayankta. So there's two things that are going to be obstacles and to stop you. They didn't say it was people. We don't know what it is till we come to that time. But through our prayers, we will go through those things. And at the end, after we pass those, then they said things will start to come into place. The important thing, I think, that the United States needs to know, and all the people in the world and all the people in this country needs to know, is that this land is rightfully ours, and that there is a treaty, and that we are asking for this back now. And it's a big endeavor, and it's going to take a long time. Everybody knows this country, this government. If you talk too loud, if you create enough of a stir, they will imprison you. If you continue to talk, they'll take your life. That's happened to our people already. It happened to Crazy Horse and Sitting Bull. They were killed because of the stand that they took. So if you're going to take a stand, my relatives, this is a reality, is if it comes to that time, you will have to give your life if it comes to that. Who knows the people in here? How many people from the government are here infiltrating and listening? We don't know that, see? So that's something we got to think about. That's why I speak Lakota, because if you don't understand me, get a translator. But I don't want the government infiltrating here. I don't want them knowing what I'm saying. They don't need to know. So that's how I feel. So at this time, I wanted to say that much. Alleged.
Oh, yeah. So just to go over the first recommendations, because I'm being asked about that right now. Translation of the legal documents, having an EP so we can pray together before these meetings, and following the star journey. So the next one will be coming up here soon. I think it's May 11th, right? May 11th, where we'll go up to Peshla, right? So if anyone, has time during that day and wants to make prayers and stuff, please, come be with us. Let's make prayers in our homelands of the Black Hills together. And then kind of going back into the ceremony part of things, when we had things translated back, they talked about 7 principles that needed to be decided upon. And they didn't tell us what those things were, but it would be important to stand on these 7 principles, and that when they came, when those principles came, then we would know what those things were. And but we would have to figure that out. And so the way I take that, the way I translate that in a personal capacity is that, us, all of us who are a part of this, what are those 7 principles that they're talking about? What could they be? Or is that going back to the 7 sacred rights? What is that? What does that look like? And if anyone, has any input on that, especially our Lakota elders sitting in here, women, men, please reach out to us. We're open to that dialogue of, talking about that, figuring that out for the people and collectively together too. And then these 7 principles, whatever they may be, should be added into the legal document that's being made and created as we send it to DC. So I know that that's going to take time too. And then the 2 challenges, that they will be big, but we will get through them, and then it will be good. That the spiritual help will be there, and that things will work out if these things are followed. And I really, really stress that part of it, because I know that at our last meeting, we talked about this. We talked about going into ceremony and talked about, having that reminder of we don't know what they're going to ask us. We don't know what the requirements are going to be. We don't know what we're going to have to give back to. And so I really hope that each and every one of you today opens your mind up and you hear those things that we just talked about, especially these 7 principles, and that we can all work together and that these things are followed. Because this didn't come from any of us humanistically, this came from the Tunkashilas and the direction that they gave. And the prayer was simple. It was a really simple prayer. And the prayer was for guidance. That was it, guidance and prayer for our children, so that our children can be able to make their home, our takojas could be able to make their home, so that we can harvest freely up in the Black Hills without having any issues, but that it comes back to us. And that was the basic prayer that we put forth when we went to Lawampi. And again, like, if you have any questions after this, if there's further things that you guys would like to talk about, I have Justin here. He was at ceremony. Malvin was at ceremony with us. I have Vida Dogskin over there too. She's part of the committee. Phil Little Thunder came from the Sichonga Lakota homelands and participated with us that night. Other leads from the different committees were there with us, and so collectively, like, we made that prayer together with Lekshi here. And I want to say too to Lekshi that, for his partner, for our Tui, the woman who holds that pipe, the woman who protects that prayer, that I'm really thankful to her for that and for the translations that she gave back to me as a woman, from woman to woman. And I say that too because we have to remember where our pipe came from. Tehsami, a woman, and that it's a woman that protects those prayers too. So thank you. Do you guys have anything else you may want to add?
At this time, though, before we move on, we want to do a ceremony here. We're going to put a chair in the middle here and with a gift on there, and we're going to welcome somebody back into the circle, somebody that had a loss. So at this time, we're going to do that before we move on. So bear with us at this time. Would like to sing, have the drummers sing over there also during this time. So maybe sing a encouragement song, or maybe and also a prayer song. Tokoja, go and escort him over. At this time, my Trahashi, we're gonna wipe his tears and bring him back into the circle. He So for those of you that have not heard, he lost his son recently, and he's still going through a hard time. The chala, chinchao xila wan gnonielo, wacha, istamni mukichi, bakintana, ho wachelonkiak. Chasa, wanji, gana, chasa kankawanji, wokiak. Ask an elder to talk to him at this time and give him wokik chumpte. Ungana trahashi Richard Broken Nose. Chan noch chansa nemak. Yeah, water. Some sage. Trahashi. Woyak akit. The chala waki paya. Chokatan kik. Woyak akit.
If we can, respect the ceremony and not have any cameras or recording for this.
Wakantuka Yukhlate, Hetise Gake. So the truth of the matter is, when these immigrants set foot here, they brought a holy book. In that holy book, it's supposed to have prophecies, yeah. There was 2 of them that came out. One was to all the English-speaking people of Britain and the United States to repent and return back to Wakantuka or face Wakantuka's chastisement. Yeah. The other one was the rise of the Fourth Reich here in America. I think the world witnessed that January 6th. We jaw cop nisto. We up your conqueror. Same time, message to all of humanity was to return back to the original instructions given to your people to make it through what's coming. I'm glad there's a spiritual committee, but I think we need to broadcast these messages just for us to pull together. In 4 years, well now December will be 4 years, and the TCON has not pulled together yet. So I take those messages to heart, and I repeat them over the years that have gone by. We have to be who we are. We have to return back to the 7 rights with the Chalupa in order to understand the truth as Tuahe. Tuahe is the strength or power base. That's what they not bloodshed. It's up to us to deal with all these problems we have. Families.
Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, the spiritual committee. Now we're going to go to legislative advocacy. Ali Moran and Holly Cook. Dr. Nakamla Chaupuana. I got the mic right here, ladies.
Apati washte matakyapi, chante washte nape chuzapi, Ali Moran and Macha Pikushto. Today we're presenting on our progress so far with the legislative committee. And real quick, because I know we have some new people in the audience, we'll just do a quick introduction of our group.
Anin Buju, Baganigijgo, Kwe and Dejanakaz, Makwa, Nindodem, Muskwagami, Wizagaganing, and Donjaba. My name is Hole in the Sky Woman, or Holly Cook Macaro, and I'm from the Red Lake Band of Ojibwe in northern Minnesota. And I support Ali and the rest of the committee on the legislative and advocacy efforts.
We also have Melvin Miner too. He's a part of our committee as well. So we have a quick PowerPoint, which I believe they have up. Right. Okay, we can go to the next slide. Okay, so this is a listing of our membership. We have a council representative from Standing Rock, Chuck Archambault, Shannon Brown, Christopher Eaglebear, Chloe Gunville, Melvin Miner, Jordan Ron, Mr. Red Bear, Emmanuel Red Bear, Madonna Sitting Bear, President Starr comes out and Anna takes the shield, Sherry Wright, Jody Archambault, and then myself and Holly. So we can go to the next slide. So this is the purpose of our legislative committee. Legislative and Advocacy Committee. So we're tasked with setting meetings with the congressional offices. So at this point, you know, we have reached out. I'll reiterate what we said last time. We have reached out to our congressional membership, Senator Rounds, Thune, Johnson, and no response from all of them. So we can try again, but that's just an update so far. And so we're identifying and reaching out to other potential bill sponsors and also assistance with further legislative advocacy. So we can go to the next slide. So this is where we're at so far with the outreach of our potential sponsors. Like I said, all of our South Dakota congressional representatives were a no so far. So, and then so we're at the committee, drafting the bill, and we have resolutions in order to confirm a bill sponsor. So at this point, we are looking for all of our Ocheti Shakoi tribal councils to pass a resolution of support. And so far we have Wakpawashte, Cheyenne River. We passed our resolution of support back in March. I just got confirmation from Councilwoman Haskell. If you can raise your hand. Pilame for passing that for us. And we have our other council members here. Can you raise your hand as well? You have Steve, Milekshi, Steve Moran, and Bryce in the woods. And so we got that rolling. So we're just looking for more support, resolutions of support from our tribes. We can go to the next slide. So these are our next steps, resolutions from the tribes, also letters of support from our treaty councils. That would be very beneficial for us. Okay. Oh, okay. By a show of hands, because I may have missed it, is there any tribes that have already passed a resolution of support, or either any treaty council that has already written a letter of support? Okay, I don't see any hands, and that's fine because that's part of our next steps. So we'll be calling upon, the remainder of our tribes and our treaty councils to help pass resolutions of support and letters of support. And if you need technical assistance in drafting that, we're more than happy to send out a template that you can utilize as well. And so next we're working on the bill brief, which we would take to our congressional representative's office when we're advocating for the bill and looking for a bill sponsor. Do you want to touch on the question for the tribal leaders?
I raised this last time too. Please let us know if you would like us to loop in. If you have legal or lobbying staff in Washington, D.C. that you would like us to loop into these efforts, please let us know. We could use all the support that we can get as we begin to work the hill on this after the bill is.
Okay. Can you guys hear me? Or did the mic go out? Is it out? A little bit? Okay, we're good? Okay. All right, so yeah, I think it went out at the end of Holly's statement, but we're just looking, if you have contacts that you would like us to reach out to when we go to the Hill, please let us know. We can go to the next slide, please. So I know the slide says timeline, but really we're not on a definite timeline. We're just naming it this for now. So just to reiterate, there's no hard timeline that we have. This is just what it would look like if we wanted to get the bill sponsored and to Congress under this administration. So we could go to the next slide. Oh, okay. Okay, and these are just some key dates that you guys can look through. So our next steps are just to continue to look for a bill sponsor because, number one, we do not have a bill sponsor yet. I'm considering reaching back out to our South Dakota representatives, maybe having one of our tribal leaders, one of our presidents, our chairman or chairwomen reach out because we could get a favorable response. So we'll hit them up a second time, but not a third time because yeah, and just keep that in mind. You know, this is something that we're all working toward, and it's a goal of our Oyate. And so for our congressional representatives, you know, to not take this matter seriously, that speaks volumes. And so we just, you know, got to remember that as well. And so after we get our bill sponsor, then we'll be going to the Hill and advocating. So that's when we're going to need, you know, groups of us to go out there, and and you can even send individual letters of support as well in support of the bill. So that would be pretty beneficial. I don't know if you have any additional commentary, Holly.
I think right now the most important thing is getting the resolutions from the tribes in support. Those are the questions that will be asked when we go into these Hill offices, is who is in support. So if they're in the process, please let us know as soon as you have a resolution complete. And if the treaty councils could send letters of support, that would be very helpful as well. And again, if you need help in drafting those, we are here. We have templates and others that can be shared. And as Ali said, I'll just reiterate, the timeline that has been put forward is not a set of deadlines. It's really more a reflection of the congressional calendar. And that was a result of, I think, our first meeting about what the rest of the congressional calendar looked like, and what it would take for us to get a bill introduced and considered in this Congress. It's certainly not, as I said, a set of deadlines. It really is a reflection of what the congressional calendar is. They are going to go out in this very, you know, consequential presidential election year. They're going to adjourn at the end of October. They'll come back for a lame duck session, but, you know, say it's November 15th and we finalize our bill, there would be no opportunity really to introduce that bill at that time. We would then have until nearly February of the following year. So the key dates that we put forward on the timeline is really just informative for this group in terms of what the congressional calendar looks like. But if you have any questions, we're here.
Plame, we appreciate you all, and thank you to all of our committee members as well for your time. And any one of you are welcome to join the committee as well. We have a standing meeting, 2 p.m. Mountain Time every Friday. And I have the Zoom link, so I'm sitting right over here in the corner, so feel free to come over or wave me over, and I can come and get your email address and include you on our meetings that we'll be having. So again, thank you so much, Plame.
What? Yeah. This one, okay, thank you. 1, 2, okay. If there's no any other questions, we're gonna go into bill drafting, Elaine Yellowhorse and Tracy Zephyr. Do we have any questions for the other committee? You also can join the committee. Yeah, we got a question over there. Dwayne.
Okay, okay, so you have this group talking about meeting with certain congressional officials as the time draws near. My question is this: what type of logistics do you have in a form of a legislative measure that will impact more of the continuation of the treaty to stay intact with one place vested upon our land in the sacred Black Hills? Takwe hewa keki lila ota wichokan kile ektum zape na hena atia abele zape. You seen it. Cha ampeto onzit khokata ke wa shake gile e chanob hanta dos ke he wosuta onzi chaking tahe. That's my question to the whole understanding between the legislative measure and how you're going to pursue it to strengthen the treaty. Go ahead.
Okay, that that question also like not only falls in line with our committee, but also the bill drafting committee. And so, but in no way, shape, or form does this, desecrate any of our treaties, diminish any of our treaty rights. This is very supportive of our treaty and of our sovereignty. But the bill drafting committee is next, and so they'll get more in depth into the bill, and you'll see that we are upholding the treaty and supportive of that 100%. So, Plummy.
Good afternoon, everyone. First, I would like to apologize to the elders in the room for speaking in front of you all. And I want to say my name's Elaine Yellowhorse. I jumped on the bill drafting committee about a month ago. I'm from Wounded Knee, South Dakota. So
Abeduashte, everybody. I'm Tracy Zephyr. I'm also on the bill drafting committee. We're both lawyers. We're both Lakota lawyers, which is something that the Spirit said in ceremony that this needed to be worked on by us, for us. And so I'm really, really grateful that Elaine is able to help with this. I'm at Dazapcho, Lakota. I descend from Fights the Thunder. I grew up on the Cheyenne River Reservation.
And I am a OST member. So what you have in your hand is the bill that we could get as far as we could for the bill drafting committee. And we did hand out little explanations for every section, just to summarize what those sections mean. And so, if we want to go through, okay, next slide, please. All right, so the purpose of the bill drafting committee, we were tasked with seeking input and creating the proposed bill to be introduced into Congress. That was the purpose of the bill drafting committee. Next slide.
Can you hear us okay? Feels like it's, no? Okay. We'll just put our big lawyer voices on, okay? Okay, so the bill drafting committee, next slide, if you could please. This has been the group that has been putting a lot of work in this, and I forgot to add one person too, as a lawyer for the Sichangu Treaty Council, and he's in the room also. But we've had a lot of participation from Treaty Council members, some Tribal Council members. There's a few lawyers in here too. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4 lawyers in this group, and so all these people have showed up at least one time. I do need to give a special shout out to Manny Ironhawk and Steve Moran. They're in the audience today. They've been at every one of our weekly bill drafting meetings. We've been meeting on Thursdays. I'm sorry, we started out on Thursdays and we moved to Wednesdays from 6 until 7. But really appreciate all the hard work that everyone has, and the time that everyone has committed to this. Next slide.
So the big picture of the bill are federal lands within the racetrack around the Black Hills, plus Mato Tipila, Iankaga Paha, and Mato Paha. And these fall within the 80% of the federal lands in the Black Hills. That's what we're asking for. Time frame for return of the land, we were coming up with that in concert with the legislative committee. And of course, no money will be accepted for the Black Hills. That's in this bill. And then there was some talk about using Washichu language in the bill, but also include Lakota language. And then private lands are not to be disturbed. Obviously, within the bill, there is a section that says if the private landowners want to give the land back to us, they can do that. It's up to them. Next slide. Okay.
What we're going to do the next few slides is kind of just go through a summary of each one of the sections of the bill. The bill is a little bit shorter and more condensed than it was when we brought it to you back in March. A lot of that was, again, just input from a lot of the people that came to the committee that had some really good wisdom and just experience and doing this kind of work. So these are the different sections. The first 5 sections are, we can walk through them and just kind of tell you what they say. The 2-page summary that Elaine referred to, that's out there. That's just a summary of it, of the 17, I think it is, page document that is actually there. So should we walk through them, like just little sections by section? How would you prefer to do it? Do you want us to just kind of tell you what a summary of the different sections, or do you want to ask particular questions? Do we want to assume that everyone's read the summary at least and have particular questions about the sections that are on the screen right now? Let's just walk through and walk through it. Yeah, let's do that.
All right. We'll just go through each section and read the summary of the bill, our bill summary paper that was handed out. And if anyone has any questions, comments, don't hesitate to, speak up. We do have someone who is taking notes for us, so they'll write that down, and we'll take that back and see what we can come up with. So, do I say next slide? Or, no? Okay. So section 1 is just a short title. Sacred Black Hills Restoration Act. That's what we came up with. If anybody has any input on what the bill should be called, let us know. Okay, section 2, findings. This describes why Congress is enacting this bill. Tells about the historical, spiritual, and legal connection to the Great Sioux Nation to the Black Hills. This details how the land was fraudulently stolen, how the federal government has attempted to pay us off, and it also says how the Sioux Nation has been trying to get it back. And it also states why Congress believes the land should be restored to the Great Sioux Nation. And if you guys have any input on that, certainly let us know. Section 3, definitions. It just defines all the terminology within the bill. Section 4 describes the reestablished area, which is the racetrack around the Black Hills, and states that the federal land within that area is territory of the Great Sioux Nation. Section 5, restoration of the Sacred Black Hills lands. And this details the process of returning the federal lands within the reestablished area to the Great Sioux Nation and what happens to existing rights, such as contracts, permits, leases, etc. Do you want to read that? Or? Okay. And then I will read the bullet pointed sections. So, within 1 year of the bill's passage, the land within the reestablished area will be inventoried and published. After the publication of the land inventory, there's a 7-month period during which comments will be received and revisions will be made. And no more than 5 months after that, federal land will be relinquished back to the Great Sioux Nation. Any existing rights issued by the federal government over relinquished federal lands are terminated, and the rights holders will be paid out by the federal government. Also, any pending applications for any rights are canceled. The Great Sioux Nation may decide to issue any rights, such as leases, contracts, permits, etc., over the land, and if it does, any applications must go through the Great Sioux Nation's governing entity.
I just wanted to elaborate on that section a little bit too. We talked about that quite a bit in committee, and really what our position, if we get the Black Hill, not if, when we get, not want to have a bunch of contracts that the federal government has issued over those pieces of land still be tied to the land. So that's like permits, grazing, contracts, that kind of stuff. So what this bill says is when we get the land back, it's going to come back with all of that stuff canceled. We figure that's a federal making whatever right with those people that they've issued those agreements with. So that's in essence what that is saying. The third bullet point there says if we decide that we want to issue, something, a grazing lease or whatever we want to issue, we can do that. So that's what that section says in essence. Sure, I'll read the next one. If you want to go to the next slide, some of the
question.
Yeah, where'd that come from?
Phil Two Eagle. I just want to back up again to reaffirm the recognized sovereign boundaries of should be the territory of somewhere we need to explain that the United States government called us Sioux, and we are not Sioux. And if you allow this Sioux to keep going forward in the bill, we're going to be stuck with that name in perpetuity. So we are the Tichuan Lakota of the Ochete, Shakoin, Oyate. And we have an opportunity here to explain to Congress that we're trying to correct some historical wrongs as we do this. So there's no way around me telling you that you're surrendering to slavery of the federal plenary power by doing this. So if there's a tactful, strategic way to flip this around and to be called the Ochete, Shakoin, Oyate, I would urge and recommend that we take a look at that, consider that, think about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Phil. Yep, we've heard that loud and clear, and when you said it earlier this morning, and took notes of it and heard it again. So I agree. I think we need to figure out some way to incorporate that better. And I'm saying the other side of it, not that I agree with it, but we also have to take into account that this is Congress. And so we did have those discussions in our bill drafting committee. I see that someone else wants to say something. Give me just a second and I'll turn it over. And so it was talked about at length in our bill drafting committee. So it may be something that we need to come back to and talk about further. Okay, someone had a question over here, huh?
Yeah, this is Lovey Two Bowls, and I'm from the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. I live in a place called Red Shirt Table, and I am talking about this Sioux, the word Sioux. I am an artisan, I am an artist, I am a person, my family, we go out. We're in Yellowstone, Grand Tetons, and Denver, we're all over. But when you go into this place and you fill out your application for a time frame when you're going to be there, and say in July, August, whatever, when you fill them out, you cannot put Oglala Lakota because they don't know that. They don't know nothing. We're down as an Oglala Sioux, and that's it. And we can't make a change because those are federal entities that we're going into. So we cannot, so we have to come back and change that. So we're under Oglala Sioux. And Cheyenne, Wyoming, same way. Denver, same way. Those are places that are set that way. And we cannot change it unless act of Congress, but I don't know. So we put that, we like Oglala Lakota down, but over it we have to put Oglala Sioux tribe. So that's how we get in all over, anywhere. Down out east, them you go into museums to set up, you have to be Oglala Sioux, because that's all we're known. The federal government has it like that. So we can, right here on our reservation and nearby, go by Oglala Lakota, but Lakota don't hold no water. I'm gonna tell you that. Okay, and another thing here is we talk about who is on this committee. And we're gonna go back. Some of us from Pine Ridge, we're gonna go back, and we're gonna go back before our people. And we're gonna go back before the council. And we're gonna ask people that live on the reservation, people that know the Black Hills, people that are educated in this for our tribe. We're gonna ask the tribe to pick who's gonna be on this committee for us. You have some on there. You have them on there. But we want resident. We want resident and the people that know the Black Hills, the people that were from the reservation, know reservation life, know what we go through, will know the Black Hills. Yes, that is our aim now, right now, to pick who's going to be on there to represent us, the tribe. That is a change we're going to ask. So
Not this tribe.
No, you have a lot of them, Cheyenne River Sioux tribe. You have several on everything. And has nobody spoke up for our tribe, for the Oglalas? Well, we're going to go back and we're going to meet with them. And we're going to a session with our council, all that. And with people that are knowledgeable, people that know. That's what our intentions is. So you'll be hearing from us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We had someone else over here. I saw a hand up. Okay, and I see a couple across the way too, but I saw a couple here. It seemed like there was, no, okay. So I have Bill, and then I see, oh, is it you? Okay, I knew it was Awia, and I was like, oh, where's she at? I want to give her a voice, so, okay.
Hello, my name's Sheridan Quiver. My mom worked for the treaties for 37 years. Her name was Elaine Quiver. And it was 6 years ago, well actually it's longer than that, but when she was gonna die, she told me, Geraldine, take these cylinders to a safe. She had some cylinders, and I only glanced at them. I didn't really know what they were. But I did what I was told, but she said, this is the most important paper was a title that she worked on. And she did get some land back in the Black Hills. So that title's in that cylinder. I contacted the Lord Blue tribe, I contacted the Rosebud tribe, and the Oglala Sioux tribe knows about it. And I was there when they returned the white buffalo calf pipe to Wilmer Mestis, but somebody stole it in Cheyenne Creek, so I don't know where that's at. But I did see it. I seen it with Joe Swiftbird from Royal Blue Bear, Emily Her Many Horses, and May and Dora Hernandez, but we all saw it, we all know about it, but they're all gone now. The Grey Ghost Society is all gone. But whoever has it should give it back to the people. But I want to be advised what I should do with the cylinders. since all of you represent your tribes, because I want to get it out that safe before the next president of the Lower Blue tribe dies. And whoever, like Mario Gonzalez, is my cousin, and he's a lawyer for the Oglala Sioux tribe. If he could look over them papers, maybe that would help get back to Black Hills, but that is not a land to live on or anything. That's all our burial site. So the Washitus are all walking on our grave, on our dead people up there. But that's our memorial. In the United States, they have memorials, and they can't walk on their memorials. So what you should say in Washington is, why are you walking on our graveyard? That's where they put us all when we died. I have walked the Black Hills with my mom and all the Gray Eagles. You really got to think about it. 37 years they fought for this, the Black Hills, but I got to get the title and I'll give it to the Lower Bros, the Rosebuds, the Oglalas, our Standing Rocks. But one of these tribes have to keep it safe, whatever is in those cylinders that they worked on. Pilamia.
Thank you, Geraldine. Good timing. We have Bill next, and then I thought I saw a couple other hands, but we'll go with Bill next.
I got two questions. One is, we always hear in various legal cases, whether it's civil or criminal, they say it'll take an act of Congress to change that, whatever the issue may be. And to me, if we have this bill passed, then we got the act of Congress that changed something. The last question that came up was regarding the status of the land. So I think we already answered that question by saying in that section 6. That's one question. And then the other question was regarding the, I want to ask you in your experience, you two, have you ever heard of them passing a bill without all the specifics? You know, where you say, now there's a lot of things that's not really known in there. So do we have to add the boundaries, when you say boundaries, what they are? And when you say hunting, fishing, do we got to put the boundaries in there and all that stuff? Or is this just jurisdiction issue? And then even then we got to say over what? Is it just, we use maybe that territory that you outlined, the racetrack and all that? Okay, that's what I need to understand. Thank you.
Excuse me, sir? The boundaries are in those cylinders to the land. That's what the Gray Eagles all worked on. So the boundaries are in those cylinders. Those are one of the things that I saved because I thought maybe in the future they'd be important. But if somebody could, if I give them permission, they could get those cylinders out of there and you guys could look them all over and you could all figure it out. But I'm willing to do it to give all the Gray Eagles things back to the people. Only they cannot misuse them. Keith Horslookin is a medicine man, but I'm gonna go talk to him and have a ceremony for us. So I feel it's important for our grandkids in our future, else we're not gonna have one.
Okay, thank you, Geraldine.
Thank you.
All Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. This, it sounds like it's a conversation that we should probably, we want to kind of get through the bill so everyone can see what it contains, and then maybe that's something that we can talk about separately, Geraldine. So we'll do that. Do you want to continue walking through? Oh, I saw Bryce had his hand up. Bryce, was it a question pertaining to what we have discussed now? Okay.
Yeah, like the duality here, as always, you know, the duality on the question that our elder said over here, it even reads it in these IRA template constitutions about the 34 Act. But back in the 44 and 50s, when those guys are coming back from Korea, they started that termination policy. I don't know if any of the young people in here know that. But that's why they started the National Congress of American Indians, and they discovered uranium over here at the Cave Hills and Slim Buttes, which is still open and still radiating, like Fukushima. But in here it has that the supplemental thereto, subject to any limitation imposed by the statutes, which is the Indian Organization Act, or the Constitution of the United States, which recognizes the treaty as a supremacy clause in it. And the last meeting had a map up of a 1978 judicially established map where it has the mets and bounds of the 51 treaty territory, Lakota, the Dakota speakers, and Lakota on that map. And then you have the 1889 stolen land statute forced upon us unilaterally. And this also was forced upon us. So this makes us federally recognized. So part of these foretold things is that this statute's going to go away again. So then there's no federal recognized Indians anymore. That's what we're supposed to be preparing for. There's only one truth here. And it does involve us and our grandmother, Mother Earth. And until we grasp that fully, we got 9 months left to unite. We need to grasp this fully because they're two separate, and the truth is still the truth. So, you know, I'm hoping that people are cognizant of that 78 treaty map, and then what's behind this statute that most likely is going away January 20th. Just like when Trump signed the Keystone and DAPL, first thing he did as president, he's going to do it again. January 20th is deadline for us. That's how serious it is, but we need to be on the same page. And deviation causes time and money and death. We can't deviate no more. We got to stand on the truth. And it's there, right in front of us. So hopefully our young people pick this up, because our young people need to understand the truth. And they have the energy to stand with the elders. We need to all stand together. And you heard Mr. Swallow say that it's not right for treaty councils and tribal councils not to get along. Otherwise, we need a whipman like this guy here to start whipping people, man.
Hi, Tracy. I just got 2 questions on Section 6, the status of state. Oh, I'm trying to. The status of Section 6, the status of state, county, municipal, and private land. The part that in Section A that says Great Sioux Nation may purchase private lands, and B, where right of first refusal, Great Sioux Nation shall have right of first refusal to purchase any interest in private land. My questions are, why would we buy back our own land, and why can't we have language that says the U.S. government buys back any interest in private land that comes up for sale? That's my question.
Thank you for that. We'll write that down and hopefully rephrase it as necessary. So I want to move on to actually section 6, status of state, county, municipal, and private land. These lands within the reestablished area will not be disturbed by this bill, but the Great Sioux Nation has a right of first refusal to purchase any lands that come up for sale. And the Great Sioux Nation may receive lands that anyone wants to relinquish. If any relinquished lands are state, county, or municipal owned, the federal government needs to compensate those jurisdictions. So that's what section 6 is saying, that we have the right of first refusal. So we can, as the Great Sioux Nation, buy it first or say no. So moving on to section 7, water rights. All water rights within the reestablished area are owned by the Great Sioux Nation, and this bill does not affect any other water rights of the Great Sioux Nation. Section 8, hunting, fishing, gathering, and other use of returned lands. The Great Sioux Nation has exclusive jurisdiction to regulate any and all hunting, fishing, or gathering, or any other use on the returned lands. Section 9, exemption from taxation and alienation. All returned lands are exempt from taxation by federal, state, or local governments, and the land cannot be taken for a public purpose by another government. Section 10, annual appropriations. Next slide, please. Section 10. Annual appropriations of funds for maintenance of returned lands. For a period of 20 years after the bill is passed, the federal government will appropriate funds to the Great Sioux Nation for the operation and maintenance of the returned lands. Section 11, traditional governing entity. The Great Sioux Nation will establish a governing entity to manage the returned lands. It will be made up from the 7 bands of the Teton Lakota Nation and created accordingly to customary law. It will manage the lands in accordance with customary law. The governing entity will respect and honor the access to the Black Hills by other Native nations who have ancestral ties to the Black Hills. The Great Sioux Nation qualifies as an Indian tribe for ISDA purposes. The Great Sioux Nation has the same privileges and immunities as other federally recognized tribes. Section 12, interim management board. Until the governing entity can be created, but for no longer than 6 months. The returned lands will be managed by an interim management board comprised of 1 representative from each CRST, OST, RST, and SRST, and 1 representative from the Treaty Council from the territory of each tribe. Section 13, jurisdiction. The governing entity will have civil, criminal, and adjudicatory jurisdiction over activities on the returned lands. Section 14. Next slide, please. Section 14, joint powers agreements. The governing entity may, if it chooses, enter into joint powers agreements with other governments. Section 15, inconsistent laws. All laws inconsistent with this bill are repealed except for treaties and including the General Mining Act of 1872. Section 16, effect on treaties.
Okay, we're going to read this one verbatim from the actual, like the 17-page document, just because it's pretty important. In short, it doesn't affect any other provisions of the treaties, but what we wrote in here is that, and this is for those who are following along in the big document, it's on page 16, and it's section 16. So we wrote in there that subsection A, all treaties formerly entered into between the United States and the Great Sioux Nation or any of its member nations or bands are continued in full force and effect. And any other claims which the Great Sioux Nation or any of its member nations or bands or peoples or the governing entity may have against the United States are neither extinguished nor prejudiced. All rights and exemptions, both political and territorial, which are not expressly delegated to the federal, state, county, or municipal governments by this act, or any other prior treaty or agreement, are hereby reserved to the Great Sioux Nation, or any of its member nations, or bands and peoples, and the governing entity. Subsection B in there further says that the return or relinquishment of the Black Hills to the Great Sioux Nation by the United States or its subdivision pursuant to this act is not and will not be construed as settling or compromising or affecting the claims of the Great Sioux Nation or its member nations or bands to any other of its treaty or ancestral territory, lands, or resources, or for reparations for any taking or other injuries sustained by it or its member nations or bands or people. So we tried to make that as strong as we possibly could about no effect on the treaties. I have a question right there. Okay. Let's hold it. We're going to finish the one section, and then we can open it up to other questions. Okay. There's just one more section left, and the last section, really is simple. It just says when this bill's passed, the money that the tried for the Black Hills is going back to the federal government. We don't want their money. We want our land. So that's what this bill says in a nutshell. I see there was a question over here on the section 16.
All right. So on your proposal for open discussion, Nick, this is aimed at you, okay? It says the criminal jurisdiction, while the Great Sioux Nation does not concede its exclusive criminal jurisdiction over the re-established area. Okay, I thank you for that. But one of the things that we must really consider, because to define it, what is Indian country? Lila ota he yakachni rabhanta wasloi kile yanke. So when you talk about, moving forward to what, affects the treaty, okay? Wa abalezikile hena tchokite kia le wa aksape he yanke. And here's why, okay? So many of you don't know this, but I did this. I and the late Russell Means and Phyllis Young and Gary Rowland. Okay, we created our own driver's license and passport, recognizing the international community. For some of you, okay, that don't understand what I'm talking about. Chale oyaki bhanta. Nick, this is for you, okay? Let's you say chanu bhanta. Daku cash kakpi yanked. Hohe wo sutakile ichake. Chai honey, Crazy Horse never had a driver's license, neither did Sitting Bull. Ash, le wo sutakile lechus eunkawin talktikile. Hena echa eye clackingte. And they're still recognized to this day. I register my cars and trucks involved in that. See? In order for you to be more or less independent and free, you have to exercise these establishments. So that goes to the effective, on the treaty right there. I'll stand with you guys on it, and you have my word there. All right, Nick? All right. Thank you. I'll will it back to you. How?
All right, thank you. Are there any other questions about anything that you've heard so far? While we're talking about that, oh yeah, go ahead, Manny.
I got a question over here.
Okay, I hear Manny, and then I didn't see where the other one was coming from.
This is Harry.
You got to stand up and wave your arms. Oh, hi, Harry.
You forgot.
Oh, there you are, Harry. Okay.
You forgot my name on that group there. And
I
think
did?
that-
No. I did? Oh, jeez. No.
And there's another lawyer that you forgot too.
No, you're on there, Harry.
Andy Reid. I think you forgot to mention him too.
No,
He
I
was
said the
also part
lawyer
of
for
that.
the treaty councils.
I guess I'm gonna go back 10 minutes, rewind there a little bit. I heard that story back in the 60s with my uncle. They were talking about these treaties and the word Sioux. Yeah, I mean, Tashi, Phil, I agree with them, or with everybody here, that the word Sioux, we're not Sioux at all. And we're Lakotas, Tithoa. We all know the story where it came from. But I heard that discussion back then with many elders, and they're not all here now. They all made their journey 30 years ago, 40 years ago. And we can't change that word Sioux because it's already written in that treaty. And it's a thing that we have to introduce probably. This is probably going out to the people and the lawyers, that we need to probably identify our identity, who we are, Lakota, Tithoa, and make it known with the Congress, the Senate, the President of the United States in our country, and also our UNIDRIP. If you guys know those concepts. And we need to look at those things that those are going to have to some changes made to Lakota. We are Lakota, and we need to look at that and make the Congress understand who we are. And I did talk to Dr. Stephanie about this too. When they talked about those Papa Bowls, we were supposed to be savages and on and on. But we're not. We can always look at writing a document saying we're Lakotas. That could be null and void. To identify ourselves as such as a Lakota. We're not savages. We got to make it known to people. That could change a lot of things. And then another question is the Louisiana Purchase. When Paris, when they left it, the Imperial, where's the receipt? There was none. So if there's no receipt, then that should be still are the indigenous people of that land. So I think they need to look, double check, triple check, and so on. And on this bill drafting, last March 22nd, last month, we said, au propos. I think Steve Moran mentioned that on March 22nd. We asked everybody, whoever from all the reservations, Standing Rock, we talked Rosebud, Ogallala. So those are things I think that Whipman's looking at me right now, so I better move on here. I got more things, but we'll try it later.
Next slide, please.
It's Claude Tuelk, Sichangwu Treaty Council Chairman. Also, it looked like Harry read my mind before I wanted to say the same thing he was saying. But I would respect our ancestors on who we are. We're a proud people. We're a proud nation. And I don't like the term Sioux. because that's a French word. It came across the water. I don't like to be identified as a snake because that's what Nadesu means, is a snake in the grass. I don't like to be referred to as a snake, the Snake Nation. So I just want to make that clarity and support with Tahashi Phil, Tahashi Harry, and those of us who are thinking the same way. Kehena oyate kehena pokata ke wichoi tahe kehena ataku washte hena yuha komanim chi chunupama apta sami wa lecha ahib ka hena ake oyate ke wichoi tahe kehena ake inaju achama kanjo kipa kehena dan pokata ke inzambli hichapi. I just want to thank you for allowing me to say a few words before the Whipman comes this way. Thank you.
Manny, I think you wanted to say a few words.
I'm gonna talk quick as I can. So, I agree with the Sioux term. To me, it was never a word in Lakota. Well, we never had that word, Sioux. So that needs to be changed, maybe to Lakota or Cheti Shakui, something like that, Tituan, okay? And Congress needs to know that. The bill, in the committee, we talked about translation to Lakota. And at that time, my suggestion was get some fluent speakers that write Lakota and split up that bill and finish it like that. We don't need to argue about orthography or anything like that. You write it the way you learned it. So that's the way that could be done like that. So somebody already mentioned UNIDRIP. We need to put this in United Nations and use it as a voice, because in this court, United States, we're going to lose. We're already stacked against us. So. And lastly, unity. What does unity look like? Are we in unity here? I hope so, because I'm not going to wait another 44 years, 150 years. I'm not going to be here. This is not about us. This is about our children and grandchildren. That's where it is. It's for them. And that's where I say that we need to work together on this important part. Pilamaya.
I'm gonna add another 3 minutes to that, Tracy. Another chance to say it because I didn't finish it. We talked about this drafting, when you get it done, I'll make it quick. I see him coming. No, just kidding. I'm watching my back. Anyway, I'm part of that bill drafting too, and I appreciate Andy for his work too. And Manny and I, when we were talking about this, we need to put everything in Lakota. But we're not going to do it one tribe. We're not going to do Shrine River way. We're going to do it with Rosebud, Ogallala, and Standing Rock, and Shrine River. And get a committee going and put this down in Lakota. And so that everybody will have an agreement what we put down in the words. Because when I go to Ogallala, make sure I say kaka, not la. So that's my point.
Okay. So yeah, what Manny, what Harry said is exactly what we were going to say just now. We are going to translate this document into Lakota, specific to each reservation. So we're working on that. Question over there, comment?
Hamidakyapi. Just wanted to, I'm Jody Archambault, and I just wanted to say that there are tribes that change their names. And it isn't, there's nobody saying that we can't change this. And from the discussions that I heard up in Standing Rock is that up there, and I don't know what other discussions people have, is that because Sioux's in the treaty, then we have to stay with treaty. But that's just because we say that. The government, that's one of the powers that we can change what we call ourselves, and we can also do that whenever we want. And so, I mean, we have, and we were just talking about it, we've drawn a line in the sand that we can't do this, but that's only because we're saying that we can't do it, but we can. And lots of people do. Lots of other tribes do. Spirit Lake Nation changed their name. That's one example, but there are others.
Thank you, Jody. Nick has a comment.
Hamidakyapi, Nick Tilson, Amachiapi. I wanted to kind of add on and share my opinion of what Jody shared here too, and what some of our elders have brought up about using the name Sioux. And I agree. I agree that we shouldn't be in the confines of how the federal government referred to our people in the past, because that's not how not what we called ourselves. I think an easy fix is that when we refer to the facts in the background component of this bill, we can reference the 1868, 1851 treaties, and we can acknowledge that they called us that in those treaties. But moving forward, this is how we want to be called. This is what we want to be referred to as the Lakota Oyate or the Tituan. You know, I think that the reality of is that this thing is coming from the people, from all of us in here. There's not a member of Congress sitting here yet. There's not a member of Congress sitting here yet. But I do think that we should have everything in the bill that we want. And as it gets introduced by a member of Congress, we're going to have to battle for every word. You know, because we can put a lot of thoughts and ideas into what's in here. But once it goes to drafting in Congress, we're going to have to battle for every word. And so I do think that there's a good strategy that exists to make sure that the document
question is actually with us versus the committee.
Question for, or suggestion for the legislative committee. I know, we're sitting here listening to all this input and everybody adding to this, and it's like we're sitting here watching a committee meeting. So, I strongly recommend everybody that has input, reach out to Tracy and get on their committee. I'm sure you guys meet once a week also, right? Wednesday at 6 p.m. They have a Zoom. I know a lot of us get real busy, but all this good information would be, better served if you get on that Zoom and communicate that way. Talk this way.
Okay, we have a little bit of mic problem, but we're going to go right into our education outreach, and that'll be Vanessa Martin and Shante Hart.
Testing. Hamidaki ambetu kile yuha chantewa shea na pe chuza pe ola Lacrosse hemacha anisa Martin hemacha picto. First I want to apologize for speaking in front of before my elders. My name is Anissa Martin. I'm Ola Lacrosse, and I am a part of the Education and Outreach Subcommittee. I'll pass it to Chante.
Betu washte mitakupi, Chante washte na betu zapi, Chante Hart machiapi, si chango yate etaha mini luzaha awati, wiaka na pi emataha. My name is Chante Hart. I'm Sichangu Lakota, and I live here in Rapid City, and I represent the Feather Necklace Tioshpaye and the Zephyr Heart Tioshpaye. And it's an honor to be here speaking in front of all of you. Who's fired up to get our Black Hills back? I don't think they heard you on the live stream. Who's fired up to get our Black Hills back? Can I get a lily from all my aunties? And if you're at home, send out a lily too. I just want to say hello to all the viewers out there, all the relatives who weren't able to be here today. And it's an honor to be here. And just wanted to get you guys fired up. Getting a little tired there. But anyways, my name is Chante Hart, and I got voluntold to be on the Education Committee and got voluntold to speak today. So if you have any questions, talk to my Grandpa Bill. Just kidding. So we're the Hesapa Sacred Lands Return Strategy Session Education and Outreach Subcommittee. And can we get the next slide, please? So the purpose of our committee is to educate and create awareness for what's happening today and to create some talking points, and so that we stay consistent with our messaging. It's really important to us to educate the public as well as our relatives and communicate with the public. And so we really take this serious, and we want to be consistent about our messaging and what we're saying, because this is important information that we're talking about. And so next slide, please. We want to give a shout out to all of our committee members. If you're in the room, please stand and give them a round of applause, and a Lili and a Keisha. Any of our members in the room, our Education and Outreach Committee members, please stand at this time. Don't be shy. So we'll talk about a couple of our outreach efforts. We meet every week, every Tuesday, right? And everyone is welcome to join us. Next slide, please. So we started with our outreach efforts. We started with the media. We invited all of the radio stations to be here today. So give them a round of applause for live streaming and covering this event. All of our DJs and all of our radio stations that were here today. We're also live on the Indian Facebook page. Tune in. And also RST Communications, Channel 93, tune in. Also, our other outreach efforts, we're partnering with Ampo Wichakpi Pine Ridge Girls School. Give them a round of applause for helping today. Can I get a lili for these girls? And also all of our unchis who are here and lalas who are here joining us today. Our future outreach.
Yeah. Oh, can I get next slide, please? We're on the future outreach slide. So the bill drafting just spoke on this, and we're gonna start doing collaboration with all committees so that we are all consistent with our messaging. And what the Education and Outreach Committee does is we are the, I guess, like the microphone to this. So this effort, here's where all the work happens, all the collaboration happens, and then in the committee meetings is where all that strategizing happens. So we want to be able to strategize together so that we are consistent with our messaging and our documents that we send out and distribute to the community. Future stuff as well is going on to the radio stations and doing hourly education sessions. And that, we want that to look like different members from the committees to be able to go onto the radio stations and disseminate information so that our people are also educated. Next slide. So some of the key points for a lot of the things that we are creating, all documents will be translated to Lakota. And we wanted to make sure that that was one of the main things that we do. Committee leads will meet to coordinate future work, and I think that's one of the most important so that we are, again, all on the same page. And then within that community leads meeting, we want to be able to create a communications plan. One thing that I've noticed is that because we aren't talking about it, there's a lot of misinformation. There's different efforts out there saying that we are, or another effort, going for some money I've heard about. This effort has nothing to do with money. We are not accepting money. I know it was said in one of the previous meetings that if you're here to talk about the money, then you can leave. And that was one of the openings of the meetings. But that's why it's important for us to start disseminating this information to our communities so that we can make sure that all the right information is getting out. And then creating a plan to utilize social media, so making sure that we're creating reels and making information that will reach people. Next slide.
So we put together some of the key points that we want to stick to. And one of the biggest one was the Sacred Black Hills Restoration Act seeks to return the federal lands of the Black Hills to the Lakota Nation. And so that's the main goal that we're going with. And so it's just one of the first key points that we came up with. Next slide. Another, like Anissa said, oh, you skipped one there, the back one. Right there. So like Anissa said, no money will be accepted for the Black Hills. The effort to return the Black Hills to Indigenous hands does not involve any sale or acceptance of money. And it's solely about restoring the rightful ownership of our sacred Black Hills, Re Sapa. Yeah, you can take a picture of these too if you want to use these for future talking points. And you can Lily and Akisha too after. There we go. Next one.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been hearing is that this is a united effort. And so all of these, I was listening to the check-in earlier, and we might have missed some people who aren't present because this was made
from the last meeting for all the councils and the tribes who were present. So reach out to me if your group isn't represented in this, but this is a united effort. And so this lists all the people who are involved and all the groups that are present and are taking lead on this. And so these are important for when we have these discussions of who's leading this effort, who's in charge of this, and it's a collective effort of everybody that's included in this slide right here. So again, you can take your cameras out, take pictures of these, post these on social media. We can also send these out as well if you're included in some of the email thread. If you make sure you're signed up as well, that's where we'll also collect your emails. Next slide. Okay, so the next steps, we will have the committee lead meeting, which we will decide how the future work will look. And then our regularly scheduled education and outreach weekly Zoom meetings. Right now we have them scheduled for Tuesdays at 3:30, which might change, but we'll still meet regularly once a week. So if you would like to be a part of our committee, and I think we are the biggest committee, we had two columns there. So if you would like to join the committee and be a part of educating and outreaching to the community, you can reach out to my email or give that phone number a call there, and we'll get you added to the email thread.
So thank you everyone for listening. I just wanted to reiterate, like what my brother Nick said, is that we're merely just worker bees here, and we're just a vessel of a voice for the people. And so we're here to take input, we're here to take any information or suggestions that anyone may have, and we're really grateful to be doing this work and to be a part of this. So lila wopila tanka, pilamayaye. Any questions? You want to take questions? Questions or comments?
There's a couple of questions down there. Claude and
Yeah. I always miss the meeting, so I want to apologize to the committee, but I really want to stress the importance of where we come from and who we are. And when we talk about where we come from is the reference of the animal nation, in that word, Wamakashka is Maka. We come from the earth nation. And that's where the animal nation comes from. There's no word, there's nothing in it that says animal. It's Maka. And we need to understand that. Because when we go back into Mother Earth, our earth body turns back to dirt. And there's an energy that's inside of all of us, that we welcome this energy every spring that comes from our Creator. And this energy brings new life every spring on March 23rd this past year. And that new energy gives a boost and re-energizes who we are. So I'm really happy. I see that as an elder. I see a lot of our young people growing. I mean, the involvement of our Ramkota, involvement with the powwows. We have a big, huge powwow here. We need to also share that energy that goes all over, and to go back to our sacred vibration called language. And that sacred vibration came from the creation of who we are. So I just want to thank you before I get it with.
Wopila.
All right. You two girls, I want to give you guys some understanding to this. But first of all, let me ask this question. What speculate? Oatiki, what speculate na you hawked? Takomene he wasloi ke hena yake. Chat kokata ke tosku skong te na ha. Wak sa pekle patita mhata. Taku lena I wosu ta aika ki he lila ota ishna pinagluni. Cha isuha taku lena wapasi te ki le chala ke te uchaka ki le wogla ke. Uchaka cha hena yeke wama kachon ki to ape. Heu cha uchoye ki le na ki ki uspa ke he ishna ita. Abra tukte khatang ko ate wan chala ka mata wogla kabla khoti ape. Ko he ishna ucho kan ke yake. Chawana le yes kawante. For some of us that don't understand the language, but this is the thing about where the but comes in. Now we talk about reestablishing an area, okay? And it says, describe the race of track around the Black Hills, state with federal land, okay? Now, if I'm correct on this, you're all gonna fall short of it. Honey, kakitya, le oak kankikia he ota, wasoi ki le grunipi, chatiopa ki le yukampi. So in modern terms, they call it Buffalo Gap. Cha zikalo atik lena wasoi ki lena okiupi. So they always say the magpie won the race for a two-legged. Well, if that's the case, then this restoration of our sacred Black Hills, Toshke Niecha, Wosutaki Ipakialinaha, Wosutaki Ichakita. In other words, how are you going to take the statutes of a state, county, and any other municipalities pertaining to private structure where we can get the land back? Because how many are in agreement? Because earlier you said, you know, hey, how many want the land back, man? You heard everybody. But again, how many really want the land back? See? Come on. So that's what I'm saying. So you girls are doing a hell of a job, and so that's my question to you guys, between the statutes of what state and county and municipality pertaining to private land. Are we going to have the authority to kick the white man out of our sacred Black Hills? How?
Check.
I have a question or comment, Bill, to you. I wanted to think about the proposal to what our relative here has mentioned about the land within the reservation tract. But actually, we have, what we should think about is in and around near the Black Hills. We know of the 13 sacred sites of the Black Hills, but there's hundreds and probably thousands of sacred sites in and around the Black Hills. So let's think on that. We probably need a committee to look at that. How many acres are we going to talk about and things like that? And on another subject, education and outreach, I would like to request that you could find a psychologist or a psychiatrist to give us a presentation at the next meeting to talk about Stockholm Syndrome and also trauma bonding and slavery. Because that's federal, the domination code of the white man has indoctrinated our people, our relatives, to accept the word Sioux and any other federal concept or white man concept. So we really need a presentation from a psychologist, a psychiatrist to show you that it's not just our people, but it's an epidemic across Indian country that we are siding with the white man. We're siding with the oppressor. So I want to bring that out and put it on the table I want to wake you up so that you understand that your mind has been enslaved by federal Indian policy. So that's my request and my suggestion. Thank you.
We'll take that back to the committee.
I have a question over here, or comment. My name is Harry Thunder again. I'm going to be quick as I can. I got my timer on now, so make sure I make it within 3 minutes. I'm sitting next to a kola of our Tioshbai, and he's the great-great-grandson of Brigadier General William Sherman Harney, who is a treaty signer of 1868. And we talked about the allies. I think I did talk to a great deal about other elders and people, educators, that would be beneficial, and I think it would be helpful, somewhat gaining back our Black Hills. And then he probably would say something after I get done here, but the other one is the education outreach. Have you reached out to the schools? And I think we need to teach the younger generation about what's going on and about the treaties. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over. 1 minute and 30 seconds.
It's true. I am a descendant of General Harney. He was a member of the Indian Peace Commission. In 1868, he was also the author of the 1868 Treaty and the third signer. I just come here today to listen and learn and tell you that I stand with you in perpetuity, and that's a fancy word, means forever. I also just wanted to say that I'm sitting next to my kola, and I stand with the Little Thunder family as a result of the work that we've been doing to heal together from the result of the 1855 Harney Massacre at Blue Water, Nebraska. And we've been working very, very hard together to heal that horrible event. And we're working on repatriation and many other things. I thank you for my couple of minutes. I know way better than to have that Whipman come after me. So thank you. Everybody. And we're standing here with you. And I'm looking for more allies every day. Thank you.
This is Bryce Inowitz again. On an IRA perspective, I think we really need to do an education and outreach on where exactly this Indian Realization Act come from. And it's based off of what Harney's relatives over here are saying. And that's the reality that needs to be taught in the grade school and junior high school and college as curriculum. Where did this IRA come from and how is it imposed on us? And then the Teach-One way out there. We started February 2nd, 2019 at the Veterans Center in Eagle View. We lost the first 2 signatories to the Teach-One Constitution that was signed February 2nd, 2019. And that has to be paramount in curriculum in the schools. If you want to restore our language, start that project, putting that Teach-One Constitution in Lakota and have Head Start on up to college. Do that project. Not only will you learn your language by reading and writing it, you'll get the full meaning that this is an international document that some of these elders that I work for the 4 bands, they had a meeting in 2004 in Puerto Rico. Hugo Chavez was there at the time. And there was a meeting of the eagle and the condor prophecy. So there was a spiritual message that came out that's very relevant to today. So all of these spiritual messages need to be combined because that's who we are. The board school did a number, taking children in 1891. And all of these things need to be curriculum and outreach and education. But the third one in the prong here would be the United States. How that concurrent resolution 76 recognized the Iroquois Confederacy as the backdrop to the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. Even though they called us wild savages in there, I think Oglala is hanging on to that name, the wild Oglala. But, you know, all joking aside, I think we have a great opportunity to educate our people at all ages, incorporate in our language, and do that background on the United States, on who we are as Chihuahua, and where this IRA really came from. Then our people, our Oyate, will have that opportunity to make the most sound judgment of who we really are, standing on our grandmother earth, which we need to respect. There's a lot of disrespect amongst our people. I agree with the Whipman. But what's the content? If you have education and outreach, this is just a suggestion from somebody sitting on IRA for 16 years, and somebody that's been involved with the treaty for 28 years, and a lot of the elders are gone now that I work for.
Take one more question and then we're gonna wrap it up. Like she.
This is the good house, Amachia. I wanted to say something here about, you know, we're talking about the treaties. They should teach them in school. There's a lot of things. I've been at the Standing Rock High School since 2008. Since 2008, my students learn about the treaties. They have PowerPoints. They do things. They went through a packet of like a knowledge bowl. And you have to teach them at home too. What do you teach your children? How is the school gonna wave a wand around and instantly give them all of this? I also teach Lakota. I teach Dakota. I do both because I teach them we can understand each other. It's okay, we can understand each other. Sometimes there's a big discussion about Lakota and Dakota, but we still have the same meanings. I live in a community that have Dakota and we have N's in our words. I teach them about the Calvary, what they did to us. I teach them in culture that culture and language are hand in hand. I do my best. Approach your school boards if they're not doing that. Parents, go to the school boards if they're not teaching your children language, if they're not teaching you about our way of life and our culture. And our treaties. They need to know our treaties. So I urge you, go to the principals, go to the superintendents, tell them you want your children to learn this. Because I know there's other teachers that teach that to them too. So I just wanted to say that much because you have to start at home too. I hear that all the time. They're not teaching our children, but you're a mom, you're a dad, you're a grandparent. I had my grandson here. He asked my husband a couple months ago, I want to be a treaty man, Lala. And so we're trying to teach him.
Pilamayae Tui, and thank you all for all your questions and your comments and listening to us. And I have one last announcement from Wilma Thinelk. She wants to invite the elders to her meeting Saturday, May 18th, 10 a.m. at Wombly. Voice of the Elders meeting. So thank you all. Let me get one last Lily and Keisha for all of everyone who showed up today.
Thank you to Education Outreach, Opila Hechalo. We're gonna go to our logistics, Manny and Renee Ironhawk and Tom Swiffer, Nia Polowana. Somebody wake up Manny. Manny and Renee and Tom. Swiftbird, logistics. We choy lana wogalang kapi. Get done. We're gonna go through our agenda, plans for our next step, and our final meeting. So. Manny.
Yeah, it's a lot of our, I should introduce myself first, I'm sorry. My name's Tom Swiftbird. I work with Indian Collective. I'm the IT director there, and I apologize for speaking before my elders here, but yeah, a lot of our work was just finding the site. You know, we wanted a spot where we could use the sage and smudge, and some places were unwilling to accommodate that, but thankfully the Ramkota here was down with it. We didn't set off any fire alarms, so that's good. Other stuff we've been doing is just the screens you see here and the layout of the room, which Manny talked about earlier today, in the shape of a triangle. Manny, do you want to say some more about that?
La colia togaka sha macha. Lakota titruma ocheti shakoi mata. And Renee invited me to her meeting one day, so I jumped in, you know. So I'm kind of like looking in the committee of the logistics committee. So. But yeah, at that meeting, I suggested this room layout because I talked about it earlier, and it's like two triangles, the points meeting, and that's the what's on earth is also in the heaven field, and that's also our one of our designs that we use in all of our artwork. But I'm glad that the logistics committee let me be on there and let me talk, so I did, and we're here, and maybe next time we'll rearrange the room again. I don't know how we're gonna do that, but we'll think about something to get that done. I'm very my heart is good today. What I've been hearing, and I have hope. Wachiwa versus Wachiwa Shmi. I have high hopes today. And
our elders, Mr. Muscat and the Black Hills are worth fighting for. And I keep saying that. And when we get the Black Hills back, we also start healing again, all over again, to that place. That beautiful place, in all our language, in all our children, all our grandchildren. You remember them grandchildren. Because they'll circle up around you and they're gonna stare up right up to you. They're gonna look in your face. What are you gonna tell them? That we must remember that. Oh, Pilama.
I have a question. Over here, Phil, Twigo, Manny. Okay, omanite yahaki ogana, Lakota omanite ogana sa yuhapanta washikilo. The Treaty Council, Kheta omanite okolaki shekilena, ogana chogata yankaki, oyaki ki wankaki, lena. Treaty Council ki Epelo. So I would like to recommend that future meetings will be held in Lakota Omanitia Protocol. There will be a circular meeting in a round, and also have the Treaty Councils be sitting in front of the people without reaction.
Yeah, I agree. So we can have a circle. And we can have our treaty council members there, and then expand from there, all the way around. Hechidu.
Utaka yapi, tokahe hihuniwi imachia. Oshichu ya Charge Renee Fast Horse Ironhawk. And I acknowledge my maiden name because my father, my Aotearoa Fred Fast Horse, is from Ihonk, that's Cannonball, North Dakota, where they are in that area now, but they're originally from Ihonk. And if we're going to be as specific as possible or politically correct, we're not the full Ocheti Shakoi right now here today. The Dakotas, not certain if they're here. There are some Dakotas, and I know the Ihanktawana from Canada, they're N speakers, they're Nakotas. And so other Nakotas are way up in Canada, like the Stony Reservation. And I just want to make note of this because I think we would be even more powerful if all our bands were here as far as a united voice. But we're not that right now. And maybe that wasn't our beginning purpose or goal. But if we're going to use Ocheti Shakoi, we need to at least invite them because they are part of us. Actually, the original band is the Merewa Kanton. And there are our band of origin. All of us started from there. And I don't know of anyone that's here that's Merewa Kanton, but my grandmother, Rose Brown, from Spirit Lake, like Jody referred to, they changed their name. They were referred to as the Devil's Lake. Now they're Spirit Lake. We can change how we're identified as. If we continue to acknowledge the term they're using to identify us. We're just going along with what they've been doing to us for the last 150 plus years. They're oppressing us. And we're in a day and age where we don't need to be oppressed. We need to acknowledge who we are and identify ourselves as who we are. We have our own bands, and we have our own Tayoshpais, and we're just one Oyate, Lakota, Dakota, Lakota. We're one when we include all of us. So I really hope that we don't minimize the importance of identifying who we are, as we've always identified ourselves. Even when we're referred to as Sioux, do we say Mia Ma Sioux? No, we say Mia Ma Lakota. Remember that. Remember who you are, whether you're Lakota, Dakota, Nakota. And the main ones that are here today are the T-Tuan. There's 7 bands of T-Tuan. They're all here. And Sisseton Wapaton, they're lead speakers. And if there's Yankton or Yankton, they're AND speakers. That's my understanding. So I wanted to say that much because logistically, it's important that we know who we are and how we identify ourselves. So I'll say that much, and thank you. And I got my check now, so I can go. Now,
what Renee's saying, well, we might as well invite our allies to Mahpia Troyate and Shaila. They need to be here too. Those guys are our friends. We fought wars together with them. That far, China. And how could I forget not to mention my Tioshway? This is what happened. When I was small, we would play outside. And then my dad would come over, and where we playing? And then so I go over to him. Maybe I did something wrong, I was thinking. But when I went over to him, he said, Lana obiashkatiki, Lana dakuchaya, Lana naha maspregnaga tioshpai enitam. He always said that. And I didn't understand again what he was talking about a long time ago. But making sure that telling me who I was related to, it also put that boundary between us. We do not break boundaries with other relatives. That's the boundary that is set. And the other Teoshpaya on my mom's side is Umpanglishka. Wounded Knee descendants. So those two, I do my best to represent them in a good way, in a Molakota way, as I could. So, Pilamaya.
Oh, no, we got a question. Wolfman.
I say we got a question over there.
Okay, I can't warn you. Now, you guys were talking about certain aspects pertaining to the sacred way. Now, we are here, Lila, what? I can continue always there. Commander, okay? Next meeting, Nick, if you guys can do this, you know, maybe we should take on his understanding and consider it our Shagilas and our Machbea Koyat. Because one young man that you want to get involved with is Devin Old Man. This little guy is such an extraordinary piece. he'll teach you something. And the other one from the Cheyenne country is John, 3 fingers. Lena oratiki was ake suta ois papi. Okay? And now to you 3. Wo suta kile esha takomni wa blezikile oratiki uchat kukte. Chaydahan lila ota dokter isam le oi chakile eagna kabhanta wa sapikile ichakite. Hohe wosuta he yanke ablezai. Hohe hecha oratiki le na chimpi. Letalakis elila ota wulaka. Uchaka. Cha. The next meeting, this is where I get, man, kind of crazy with this. Do that, Nick. Put the oblalas and all this in a circle. If you want to really go back to the sacred way, that's a start to implement what band and, you know, what Oishpa you're from and contribute that way. And so thank you guys for allowing me to ask that question and wopila tunky chicha, and consider that, Nick. How?
Yeah, so before we go, I want to give some special recognition to Ampo Chakpi School that really helped us out with the logistics today, serving everyone, helping me out with the computers. Usually you'd see me running back and forth between all of them, but they did a great job with that, so just want to give them some special recognition and a round of applause again. And for our next steps, if anyone wants to be involved with the logistics committee, which is kind of planning and preparing the space, you could email me, tom@indiancollective.org. And yeah, I think that's about it.
I forgot something again. I just wanted to thank Hoshkanik and these elder gentlemen that were sitting here. If you were listening, you learned something. And if you didn't understand them, have somebody interpret to you. Because when they talk, there's lessons there. And someday I hope to get there and to be like them, the traditional Lakota way. That's what I strive for every day. And I want to thank those young ladies that helped. They helped serve us. I want to thank them. They played their roles real good. And that's what they're supposed to do. We have our roles here too, as well. You know, I want to thank all the committees, and I want to thank all of you sitting in here with a big heart. Chante oyaki ginakapi, he tapaki, tahewo pilatanga chichapelo. Oh, echi.
Hamadak Yapi. I wanted to, like Dwayne, I wanted to thank you for your questions that you brought up. And I know you directed some of them to me, but I wanted to explain that this process that we've been doing, there's no one person making decisions. These committees, it's distributed decision making throughout. And the committees make those decisions. And so when it comes to how the meeting's set up, how we've been doing this is that if you want things to be a certain way, join those committees. Join those committees, participate in those committees, and bring your ideas to them. And because we've been trying to do that, and that's how the circle has gotten bigger and bigger each time. Get bigger and bigger each time. And so I wanted to explain that too, because I think that Sometimes in meetings, we say, you should do this, you should do this, you should do that. There's only we in this meeting. There's only what we should be doing. What we collectively, as a Lakota Oyate, should be doing. And so, my encouragement is that if you have ideas, these committees, there's no magic about them. You join them, you bring your ideas, and you put work in too. That's how this ended up becoming the way it is. And so, like she Phil, if there's ideas you have about the way that you want the meeting set up next time, join that committee, the logistics committee who's putting that part together. Your ideas will be welcomed. Your ideas will be implemented and welcomed if you put the work and the time and energy into doing that work. And I say this because we're Ikche Oyate. There's no big powers that be that is organizing this. It's us. And each time our circle has gotten bigger because we did it in that way. You know, if we want a Sundance to happen, we got to cut the wood. Somebody's got to get the crutches. Somebody's got to build the sweat lodge. And a lot of times what happens, and I'm sure many people in here, there's many Sundance families in here, there's a lot of people who come to those Sundances, and there's usually about 3 or 4 guys on that hill putting the work in. 3 or 4 families cooking. So what happens between these meetings is actually more important than what happens in the meeting itself. Because those conversations help bring us together and help us create this. So I just shared that because I think that, you know, especially for those that are listening too, they might say, how do I get involved in this? Right? If you're listening on Keeley radio station, or you're listening over in Rosebud, or you're listening online, you can be a part of this. You can join one of these committees. You can contribute in whatever your title is, whether you're treaty council member, a headsman, a JV Chasha, a school teacher, whatever title that you hold in your everyday life, you're welcome to this. And this is something that's happening with young people, women, and men. And I want to say that too, because I know that there is the question about the treaties, about are we going to run these meetings like 3/4 males? Do you have to be a full blood? I can tell you that this effort is a grassroots effort of the Oyate and of the people, where women have equal say-so in the work that we're doing. Have equal say-so, because if you look who's on those committees, rolling up their sleeves and putting the work in, a lot of it is our women and our young people. So I share this because us as a people can come together and make something from nothing. We can make something happen. And that's how these meetings have come together each time. And so I know that there's more debates to be had, there's more edits that we have to happen, and there's meetings happening every week in these committees. And you join those committees by volunteering and showing with your own 2 feet to join them. And so I wanted to share that to the people online, because sometimes it's like, what's going on? How does this happen? How does this work? And I wanted to also say that we've been working hard in sharing whatever resources that we've had so far to get the momentum going for this. Indian Collective has offered up our resources to help build the momentum. But I know to maintain the momentum beyond, it's going to take the Oyate. It's going to take all of the treaty councils. It's gonna take the tribes. It's gonna take other folks that have resources. And we, Indian Collective will continue to be generous, but we'll come to a time where we have to keep sharing our resources with one another and figuring that out. And so, what we can commit to doing is we can commit to helping with the resourcing of the next meeting. And I think at the next meeting, I think that we have to create a resourcing committee of how we want to share resources for these meetings to continue happening, and share and figure out where we get the resources from to continue doing this too. So I just wanted to share those things, and this part, you know, we can leave up for debate too. We've been meeting roughly it's been on average about 6 weeks. That's what we've been meeting. And I think 6 weeks from today is June 13th. And I know that after we get later into June, we get into all of the Sundances that we have. June, July, August. And there's a lot of Wiwangwachi going on. And some people won't be able to come because their Sundances are happening. So we already know that's what we do as a people. So my recommendation as just throwing out there, if it was 6 weeks from today, it would be June 13th. And every meeting that we've done so far, we set the meeting date, so all of the people know, and gives us kind of a benchmark to work towards. And so I wanted to offer that up, for no reason other than it's not later into June when the Sundances start, and it's 6 weeks from today. So I wanted to put that out there as a proposal and an idea, and see what the people think about that. Hachatu.
Washtello. Thank you, Nick. You know, we have a lot of good intentions. We have a lot in our mind and our heart, but we all got to put it together as one. When we put it together as one, the group gets stronger. Our grandfathers didn't have the paperwork in front of them. Our grandfathers didn't understand the language that was proposed. But today we understand English language. Now we understand what to do. Many times we have ideas, and sometimes we disagree. But that's okay, that's part of balance. But we have to understand what we stand for. And this is a start, this is a beginning. We have this door that's going to be open for us to get our lands back. Many of our elders said this before us. Kaka lala hana ogalakapi hektakya. Unchi hana ogalakapi. Tui lekshi hana. Hana ogalakam na hecho sa we choi ampi. So you know those we still carry on, because if we're not here, our next generation is going to take forward. They're going to pursue this. So there's a lot that needs to really establish in this area. Chahechonsa, hena oblako chimnaha, opiake yahib. Now, wono umashte, daku wopasi he, lana hechos egle. A lot of understanding, a lot of knowledge, a lot of ways to put this together. And that's what we're here for, to help one another. And I believe the date will be on June 13th, as nephew said. And we're gonna move forward. We also got confirmation that this room's available too, so our meeting will be here. And will be some rooms, and I went in the hot tub and here there's a lot of Indians in there, so I thought it was boiling meat, LP. Why? Soup's going on there. But you know, this is where we're gonna meet, and we're gonna move forward. The next step, actions, items, and we need to help out in all of our committees. You know, step up, bring your ideas to it, so we could move forward, because we have a lot of good knowledge here. A lot of good knowledge. One time, I'm gonna share something real quick, that one of the elders spoke, and he said, look, we used to be really strong people. Somehow, we're not like that, but we need to get back to it. He said, when you raise your hand, when you make that fist, there's our people coming together. And we're gonna make a move to move forward, because that's who we are. Our Lakota people stand like that. Because understanding with the heart and the mind, there were no jealousy, there were no criticism, he said, is working together. When you come together like that, things will get done. And this is what's going on here. We have to get this done like that, so we can move forward. Go ahead, Chitula. Our next step, we need to move forward. We need resolutions from the tribes. We need letters of support so we can move forward and help to achieve a step into what is going to take place. So Rosebud, Pine Ridge, Eagle Butte, Standing Rock, and the Treaty Council come up with the resolution so we can move forward. This is a step forward. You see our young ones here. Remember, a long time ago, our young ones never participate in meetings like this. They never did. We never get a chance to sit in with the elders. But today, we're really glad they're here so they can listen to all of you. So they can take that step forward. Give encouragement. Understand what we have, oral teachings, our values, that we can stand and help them. So I'm really glad they're here, helping like that. And we know that all of you that are here, listening on YouTube, you know, special thanks to Keeley Radio, special thanks to Koya, Channel 93, people back home. You know, there's pros and cons in the white man's language. I know that they were saying we shouldn't televise this. But we got to understand some of our people can't make it here. But they can get hold of nephew Nick and rest of the committee and how to participate. Maybe our next meeting, this will be really full. A lot of our people will be here with a lot of good advice, a lot of good help. So it takes our next step forward. So with that, we're going to have a closing prayer. And I want to thank all of you that are here in the Whipman. Thank you. I think my 3 minutes went up, so you must be tired. He didn't come towards me, so I'm pretty happy. Well, anyway, I'm going to turn the mic over to Makola Richard Broken Nose for a closing prayer. And right after the prayer, we're going to take our staffs out, and the singers will sing a real beautiful song for our staffs, because this is our First Nation. These staffs represent who we are, and we still have these today. So I just want to share that with you. Wopila Hechalo.
Wana closing prayer apelo. Ocha oyasila dona unhipiki hina ya wopila tanka hai. Ungalapi hina echu hambo awake hina. Wakanta hai mukila bikina tiata kya. Wota kye hina akinia wichunkia kapikte ki isha. Wakanta hina tipi ki el. Ania na khesapa ki na makhopa shpeto na yanke kuhena el khashla khanka makha ke leonta ha pina makha ke le teu khilapi o he on khashla khanka o nie etya etche makhoche ke le ake etya wo ke ukupo o gluha kina jipikte ya heche o chi chelo khashla khanka o tiata kya wana shaku gogna piu ki chapesha wo awan ke kina wo kiwena yuha tiata o kina jipikta cha ea heche wana o mani che wo awan ke wena wana otkons unglushta piki wo pilat kanka ugashla kanka unkupo ea heche hoywa o metaki oyas o heche
Wastelo, Opila. O hechum lila opila tanka o geni champi dona. O hechum lena o piankio o meni champi na ha. Dona ya hipi. Ya chante wasta yuhana ya galampikte. Na tianta tiosh by luhampi o hechum sa wapi. Na richanku pina obo galaka. O le o meni cha keya gliki le Taku washteste woyukcha, washteste pia onga aboki, ohechasana, and abhachi. You know, we can take all our ideas, these meetings, minutes, back to your home, back to your family, discuss it, come back, and how we could help and reaffirm it so the way will be like that. Ohechetualo, okaki wana. Hechitualo, Lila Wopila Taka Kenny Chapalo. Thank all of your relatives coming to the meeting and sharing. If you're traveling back, safe travels. If you're staying here tonight, get rested. We have a lot of cookies, chips back here. Come help yourself. We have a lot of drinks left over. Come help yourself. If you registered, didn't receive any mileage, go out to the hallway out here and sign so we know that we'll give you some help. So if you didn't receive any mileage or any assistance, right in front here, the table here, one of the workers are right in front. Give them your name and they will help you with some assistance. Thank you, singers. Wopila Chalo. Want to thank, thank Channel 93, Cora 88.1 on the FM dial in Rosebud. Want to thank KILI 90.1 FM dial in Pine Ridge, giving us the time to share the wisdom and knowledge back to our people back home. I want to thank the singers and everybody that came and all the treaty councils, all the council reps. I want to thank you all for being here. Lila wopilan kanka okeni chapalo sa toksha ake wachianka biktalo. Thank you. There's a lot of cookies, a lot of stuff back here. They would like to make sure you take some. There's a lot of fruit. Take some fruit. There's a lot of drinks. So come over and help yourself. Take some back.
Shut this down. Thanks for being here. I'm the director of Tax Media. Happy to bring this to you. There's some audio stuff happening. Thanks for being here. Like, follow, share. June 13th, 6 o'clock. We'll be live again. So there's 2 meetings. You can go back and watch it. We'll make sure to link to the description. I'll do that. Huh?